And I am here with an amazing guest tonight. I'm so excited to be talking with her tonight. She's been on my radar for a long time, and we'll get to how I've been trying to connect with her. But she is a great talent, and I know we're going to have a ton of stuff to talk about. But we're just here in the first place just to reach out to the singing, the music community, try to give a little encouragement and inspiration. These are strange times. Um, but there still is there's a lot good going on, and we kind of want to bring those things to the forefront and share what we're doing. And let me share with you my guest. This is Caroll Hatchett. And Caroll is an actress, singer songwriter, dancer, choreographer. She is maybe best known for working with Bette Midler as one of her backup singer dancers, known as the Harlettes. And she was recently featured in Bette's Emmy Award winning Diva Las Vegas on HBO and the Showgirl Must Go On HBO. I just referred to her Bette like we're old buddies or something. And you've got other huge credits to your name. You appeared in the film Ali,
Mhm,
Legally Blonde, Red, White, and Blonde. And
mhm.
you've worked with some really incredible artists like Kenny Babyface Edmonds, Dave Stewart, Beyonce. I'm familiar with her.
Mhm.
And you've done some work with Tina Turner and your very good friend, Miss Sheila E.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Uh,
And I know that you have also worked with Tony Basil, the choreographer.
That's right. Absolutely. The actress, choreographer, director. She has a lot of, titles also. Yes.
Yeah. Well, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank
With
you for having
that, what's going on? What have you been up to during this
me. Goodness. Well, during this,
space, during
what
this thing?
I have been doing what everyone else has been doing, which is trying to stay positive and busy.
Yeah.
We've all gotten thrown off schedule from our usual schedule of staying busy. Um, and I've just been trying to fill in the blanks with new things. Actually, this whole era of Zoom
Hmm.
is what we've all had to adjust to in order to communicate with one another. But I think it's been really wonderful. So I have been not just Zooming with friends, which is really wonderful,
Hmm.
um, but I've been, involved in the SAG-AFTRA Zooms that they have that they've been, offering to members, where you get to talk, not talk with, but listen to casting directors and you know. Writers and directors and things like that, and you get to kind of listen in a Zoom on um, how they've been experiencing this time and how they want to go forward, and what the color of the industry is like now during
Yeah.
this. And I would not normally take the time to sit for an hour and listen to a conversation, but it's so informative and
Hmm.
so inspiring. After you get off of one of those Zooms, you're like, hey, that's a great, you're writing down some ideas. And so this has been actually good. I wouldn't have done it before. I'd usually go, okay, I have an hour. I'll just relax for an hour, and then I'll get in my car and take, an hour to drive to the gig, and then I'll do the show, and then I'll go, that was my life before, this pandemic. And now we are Zooming and sharing information and hearing from people all over the place.
Yeah.
So that's not what I would be doing if I was sticking to the schedule that I had before. So this has been great. Zooming,
Yeah.
zooming and getting information. This has been great. Uh,
It is. It's a great just I mean the slowdown it just we were chatting right before we started here that being forced to, slow down like this, it does open the door to other opportunities that, may have been in the back of your mind, but you just did not have time for, with all the rush going on and everything. But yeah, it kind of opens up a new space. right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And exercising your, your brain in a different way, you get your listening skills going on, and then, you start to be more creative in other ways.
Yeah.
So it's been
Yeah.
good.
Now, you have a band out in the LA area, right? Were
Yes.
you guys gigging when this hit?
So I have to say, I am I always have some kind of little
Yeah.
band project going on. So I work with a lot of bands around town.
Hmm.
And that was definitely going on. I was on schedule with working with a lot of different bands around town. And I was working on the second album, which I still am, that I was producing for my band, Bella Brown and the Jealous Lovers. She's my alter ego, my funky alter ego,
Love
my
it.
70s funk alter ego. And so we were working on our second album, and getting prepared for the summer, do some live shows, kind of toss the new music out there and see how it would float. So we were very excited about that. That's the direction I was going in with the original band, with my
Mhm.
live band.
Right.
And with the other bands, we had lots of weekend dates booked, lots of corporate dates booked. That's kind of where I was in terms of performance,
Yeah.
with live bands around town. So that's one landscape that I had to kind of,
Yes.
deal with.
That took a hiatus. Yeah. Well,
Right.
I certainly can relate to you. And that really kind of brings us to how you came on my radar because I work in a show or a corporate band as well. And for the, gosh, 10, 11 years that we've been together, it's a very high energy show, but I am by no means a dancer, let alone a trained dancer. And I have two male co-singers in the band, and we just do our thing, we just kind of go with the flow. But we've always known that movement and dance is really something that we wanted to up level. And so I saw a while ago that you were doing some movement for singers classes, and I was like, I need this so badly. And so, unfortunately, I wasn't able to catch the class because of a show, but I know after this, I'm going to jump on board with one of those because I still need
Absolutely.
it. And but I'm curious if you can talk about those classes a little bit more, because obviously, no matter what kind of a singer you are, no matter what kind of project you are, whether you're dancing, movement and just what you're doing with your body, the way you're holding yourself is such a major component of it. And it doesn't always, come naturally to everybody. So I guess my question is, can a natural and appealing feel be taught? And please say the answer is yes.
The answer is yes. Well, I'm a firm believer in the fact that everyone can dance, everyone can move, everyone has the capability and the capacity to learn, different types of movement. It's just really, honestly, you already know how to dance, you already know how to move. It's just having a vocabulary and feeling secure about it. Because I was approached by, and speaking of, you and I were talking before this, behind the scenes, you and I were
Mhm.
talking about how, it's really important to, we feel really good and purposed in connecting with the community, the
Mhm.
singer community. And I was approached by Celia and Felice of the Empowered Singers workshops.
Mhm.
And they said, you know what? We know that you've taught a class, before, where the purpose of the class was to teach singers how to move, and we think that you doing a class with us would just like add to our program, and would be really good. And I said,
Yeah.
wow, you know what, I'm gonna, I love to teach,
Mhm.
so let's make this happen. And it was about scheduling initially, And the girls are so awesome that they were like, okay, well, whenever you can squeeze it in, let's squeeze in a workshop. So, it's like, let's commit to 1 month of doing a workshop and we'll put the idea out there. And what was so cool was that there was such a wonderful response from singers and musicians. They're like, okay, this is where we can focus on just, the idea of movement while we perform, whether we're singing
Yeah.
or playing an instrument. This is an opportunity for that. And I said, let's do it. I did the first workshop, and, it was so cool because I hadn't met a lot of people that wanted to participate in the workshop. It didn't cross my mind that that would be a great idea. Only in the setting of teaching it at a school did I think, oh, the kids pay for the classes, they want to come and do this, and that this is a part of the program. That's one thing, but that people might say, I'm already an established singer and I'm an established musician, and this would be a nice stretch for me to just enhance my live performance with movement. And I
Mm-hmm.
said, oh, that's cool. Let's do it. And in these workshops, we'd have such a great exchange of like people saying, well, I took classes when I was young, but
Yeah.
now, I haven't moved in such a long time. Or they're like, I can't move. I'm sitting behind my piano, or I'm,
Mhm.
standing behind this microphone. Or there were just so many different ideas where I was like, oh, yes, you can. I can get you
Mhm.
moving. Don't you worry about it.
Yeah.
Let's just, take this workshop. And in the workshop, of course, in building the workshop, and I'm always building it based on the participants in the workshop. But in this workshop, I would, I touch on just singing, and then I touch on just movement and
Mhm.
dance. And then that idea, I try to say, guess what? Both of those things. You can absolutely do both of those things. It's just your approach.
Mhm.
It's not your ability. I really believe that everyone can to some degree. So that's why every workshop is so much fun. And that's why I love doing it, because it's new every time. It's really cool.
Yeah, yeah.
You
I can't wait to do one. Do you
know?
think in this in everything being online, if our situation continues on for a lot longer, is it potentially something you could offer online? Would you consider that, or is
All
it
right, Miss Danielle, you got me with this one, because it's been
challenge?
3, 4 months, right? And I've been like, I really am so, the experience of doing it with everybody there is such a really unique experience, and something that I feel like when we do these master classes that you can take with you forever. I haven't figured out how to translate it to Zoom yet, but
Mhm.
I better get to it, or
Yeah.
translate it to, doing it over the internet, because I'm really hands on, and then I'm really like, okay, now I'm hands on, and now the energy, and now the this, and it's multi-layered in that way. So, good question. Not sure quite yet if I can. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm working on it.
Maybe. Oh, well, I'll keep hitting you up for it.
Okay.
But yeah, I think what you're doing though is such a great service to our music community, with singers, because it is one of those things. I mean, you can be a really, really great singer, but if you look stiff and awkward on stage, it's just such a distraction, unfortunately for some people. And I know that, even with really seasoned singers and people who are comfortable on stage, if they're anything like me, I find that I fall into this autopilot of movement that isn't interesting, but it's kind of keeping me going. And then me and my co-singers kind of fall in sync with that, and it's been referred to as the pee-pee dance in our band, where it's just kind of this step touch thing that over and over again. And you don't even realize that you're doing it. And my observation with a lot of bands who do movement well is that the movement doesn't have to be huge, grandiose choreography all of the time, but even the most subtle together things can have such a huge impact.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Movement is fascinating like that. And so is singing, and so is music. And so, you know, that's an energy, and like you said, it doesn't have to be huge to be impactful. It has to be deliberate, and you have to be, as I like to teach in my master classes, and as I like to do when I'm performing, just stay present, and if you can stay present and connected, then you will find, that movement that interprets the song, that translates from your physical capabilities to the audience. Because you're not just moving, like you said, you don't want to fall into step touch. Everyone
Right.
knows what step touch is, even if they don't know what step touch is. You're kind of keeping time. You're,
Yeah.
one foot, next to the other.
Yeah.
And everyone basically does it, but you don't want to fall into the rut of I'm doing step touch just because I think I'm supposed to be moving. It means absolutely nothing to me. Because quite the opposite can happen. You cannot move at all, and it can translate as movement and energy. You know,
Yeah.
um, I have to tell this story because when I was younger, and I went to a Michael Jackson concert, and he started the concert out with just popping onto the stage and standing there. I swear to you, it felt like it was 20 minutes of him standing there and not moving at all. And everyone was screaming, and it was so much, but his intention behind not moving was, to move you. And so it can get that deep, So yeah, back to step touch. It's like, let's let it mean something. Let's let it feel like something. Not only are you keeping time, but you are sharing some energy with the audience, So where do you put your step touch in the song? It's almost like when you're singing, where do you hold the note, or where do, it's the same concept. You're manipulating sound and or manipulating movement in order to share a story and energy with the audience. And so as you start to get on that level and that philosophy about it, again, everyone can do it. It's just your mindset towards it. So
Yeah. What comes to mind for me too is so my two co-singers are males. And
mhm.
I have found that, and everybody else in the band are males as well. So being the only female in the band, I I get to this place in our performance where sometimes I feel like my movement is losing some of its feminine energy because in instances when I do get to perform with other females, that seems to come rushing back because I think their energy kind of just kind of serves that up. So that's a really another thing that I would love to handle is just how do I keep, how do I keep the femininity in the way that I move and not want to emulate, all the dudes on the stage just because,
Right.
you know.
Right. So, like we were talking about early, there's an energy, right? And
Hmm.
movement, creates a certain energy. And if you have some very, obviously, which is cool, you have some very strong male presence on your stage where you're like, okay, so, I don't know, what are you thinking? I don't want to jiggle too much. I don't want to move my hair too much. I just kind of want to,
Yeah.
I just kind of want to keep, in line with these guys because that's the, dominant energy that's happening on stage.
Mhm.
Or, I share the stage with a lot of male musicians, and then I share the stage with female singers. A lot of times, like you were talking about with Bette Midler, I'm in a trio of women, and we have to move in tandem with one another, for the entire show. So that energy is like something I have to tap into, be able to tap into. So when you're in a trio and you're singing, whether it's just standing at the microphone or like with the Harlettes, we're dancing around, there's a feminine energy that you're surrounded by that, the length of your arms, you know what I mean? Or, the quasi, of your head, this type of thing. So it's like those subtle things that aren't really big, but they're very feminine that exists in the trio of the women's projects that I work on. But when I'm on stage with a bunch of musicians and they all got like horns or they're,
Yeah.
got drumsticks and it's that male energy where there's a, the energy is sometimes a little bit more aggressive. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So how do I deal with that? I'm usually just like, I decide and am sure about who I am before I get on stage.
Yeah.
If I'm the singer and in the band that I work with around town, I'm the female singer, and it's usually all guys in the band, Alligator Beach. And they got horns, and they got drums, and they got keyboards, and they got guitars. And when they take their solos, they're like, wah! And it's just like, it's very male energy. But I've always known and been sure about the fact that I'm the female lead singer of the band. I always have on my heels, my dress, and my hair. I've decided that that's what I bring to that project. So I don't really get lost in that. I kind of go, no, this is my character,
Yeah.
And so, again, and when I'm singing the songs, I'm bringing across Caroll Hatchett energy, I'm staying present. And when I stay very present and I'm storytelling, you really don't get lost. I know I'm repeating myself with some of these concepts, but it's really, and that's me, I'm very concept chick, it's like you get these concepts and then everything else kind of falls into place because you're very sure about your presence, whether it's, like you said, male driven band or you're in a female trio singer situation. And not all trios are women, but in my experience, I've had to experience that also, the femininity and then the sexuality or the aggression, of having instruments,
Yeah.
So I hear you, but we're gonna work on that.
Yes. I love too that you mentioned before the concept of alter ego, because I think that that's really important for singers who are just maybe getting their first experiences on stage. And maybe I think this is a good way of dealing with performance anxiety too, is you do have to be so intentional when you step on stage, whether you're stepping into this role of a very pronounced character or if you're just stepping into a whole new um, energetic self, because for me, I'm a very I'm really introverted. I'm typically really kind of shy and everything, but I know when I step on stage, I know what my job is there, and I
Right.
know, who I become there. And so, tell me about what alter ego is for you and how that is in the band.
Right. So, as I mentioned earlier, the band Bella Brown and the Jealous Lovers is another project that I put together with the intention of being able to express myself musically,
Mm-hmm.
and in the way that I grew up with funk and soul music. And the 70s funk and soul music was kind of a style that was reoccurring in my musical experience in life all the time. Now, whether it was from bands, live performances that I saw, from Earth, Wind and Fire to Shaka Khan to, James Brown to, I mean, I'm all over the place, but it really was that kind of funk music and soul music from really great soul singers and great funk bands that kind of influenced me.
Yeah.
And I really do believe subliminally it was because of the energy, there's a character there, like you said, an era of time. And then there's an energy with those funk soul bands that I was always drawn to. And I think that's because there was in those bands a combination of amazing singing, amazing singers, and movement. I mean, those musicians were always in motion,
Yeah.
the lead singers were always in motion. And I didn't know it at the time, but I was very attracted to that. So now, in me going, let me put on a project where I get to do a lot of things. I get to sing, I get to write my songs, I get to, create live performance, and then I get to share with other musicians, like a full stage full of musicians, as opposed to, just singing to tracks, which was which was an era of time also,
Sure.
but I get to work with other musicians and I get to be creative. So I stay I decided to do this project so that I could do everything that I love to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been a really wonderful experience because um, I do cover tunes and things like that, but I'm trying to put a spin on them. The you know the Caroll Hatchett spin, the alter ego spin of like
Yeah.
Bella Brown.
Yeah.
Bella Brown would be very funk, soul, hip, cool, not in a box, not in a trio, just on stage in her bell bottoms and her afro wig, just letting
Yeah.
you have it. Fight the power, Black Lives Matter, all those things.
Yes.
She's just, Bella is bold,
Yeah.
Bella is bolder than Caroll would be when Carol's just trying to, I booked the job.
Yeah. Yeah.
We only have a 40-minute set, so keep it together, what I mean? And so,
Yeah.
yes, that alter ego idea really works for me going, that's the music I loved. That's the kind of vibe I want to do. And I feel like I can stretch and be a little bit more bold. So
Yeah.
Bella is bolder, and then I get to write, and like I said, all those things I get to radiate and be a little bigger. Alter ego really is just you, right? It's just
Yeah.
another version of yourself, and so
Right.
that's that.
Yeah. They are. They're things that are inside of you already, but they just kind of, emerge into one character at a certain time, you know. But I really, I couldn't say that enough to singers who struggle with performance anxiety, or if they're putting their show together, their own original show, and they feel that there is some kind of a missing piece to it,
Mhm.
is, giving yourself that freedom to invent yourself on stage and try things. And when you just feel something inside you to do something that wouldn't ordinarily be in your, I don't know, your normal vibe, just do it, try it, see how it makes you feel, see how your crowd responds to it. And, it's fun. And I think it kind of takes the pressure off of you,
Yeah, I
because it's your
mean,
job.
we do it as singers, right? You
Yeah.
sing, you. If you're covering someone else's tune, or if you write your own song and you go, I'm gonna put my vibe on it. Whether I'm a singer who likes, you know, to stretch, and I'm a singer who likes to, riff, or if I'm a singer who just likes to take songs and make them very simple and acoustic. We take those chances as musicians, right? As,
Hmm.
as singers. We go, I'm going to cover this tune, but I'm going to put my own vibe on it, whether it's Bella Brown being more bold, or whether it's, me going, you know what, I just want to sing this song. I want to just sing the melody. I simply want to just have these words be heard,
Hmm.
and I'm not going to do, these staccato notes. I'm going to hold some notes. I'm going to actually hold a note, for a bar or two. Let's see what, I really
Yeah.
want to express myself that way. And I think that, again, we can do all these things. It's just our approach, and our staying present and our connectivity to go, I'm going to sing this song and express this story
Hmm.
this way. And I love singers who flip songs and make a country tune a funk tune, or make a rock tune a ballad, or it's really expressive, it's really creative. And you do, think of movement that way, think of singing that way, think of performance that way. You're
Yeah.
just sharing, like you said, another level of yourself. So you have to be fearless and bold, but those are not bad words.
Yeah.
Those are wonderful words. Go
Hmm.
for it.
Definitely go for it. Yeah. So, where does this come from for you? Where are you coming from? How did you get into singing and dancing?
I'm from Chicago, born and raised. I say that all the time because every once in a while the Chicago jumps out of me. So I don't want to scare folks, just let you know.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm from Chicago, born and raised, the west side of Chicago. And, you know, I was already raised in an environment where you had to be, on your game. and you kind of had to be on top of things, and you had to set goals for yourself, and you had to stay focused, and you had to, you know, get on with it. So I never really had any time to mess around or hang out or be uncertain or insecure of in a way that would stop me from getting things done.
Yeah.
So that's the boldness kind of that I was raised with, which is, you know, take advantage of all your opportunities, and, you know, have goals and make a path for yourself and stay on the path. Yeah. So I was raised that way, which was wonderful because, you know, I feel like it gave me the, I don't know, it gave me the to just kind of go, I want this thing in the world that's not being handed to me. I want to be I want to sing and dance for a living. I want to be on stage. I want to be a performer. Mm-hmm. So I left Chicago and came to California to stay with a cousin in Orange County, and had no idea what I was in for. But I was feeling, you know, like, go for it, you know? Yeah. And so I did. I came to LA with little to no connection to anything, and decided that I was just going to get into the scene and be a part of it. And everyone knows, singers, dancers, actors, that you have to get out there and be bold. You have to accept, how do you say, rejection. You know, you have to put yourself in positions that are uncomfortable. You have to continue to drive, you know, and I feel like I got that when I was growing up in Chicago. I brought that sensibility with me to California, to Los Angeles, and it worked. Lucky me. Yeah. You know, that level of fortitude there transposed itself to migrating to Los Angeles, and that fortitude has worked for me. So I feel lucky for that. And every time I teach or share, I say the same things. I'm like, you know, act as if you're going to do it and mean it for a lifetime, and not just, you know, oh, let me just, you know, dip my toes over here. It's like you have to have that level of fortitude. And I feel like that I got blessed and lucky that way, that I brought that with me. And so that's what it means to me. It means, you know, a sticking to it, knowing your goals and your dreams, and being responsible towards yourself, you know, and true to yourself. Yeah. Because you will get the opportunity to do whatever it is that you want to do. It will manifest itself. Yeah. You just have to be prepared when it comes. Yeah. I'm a strong believer in that. To some degree, you're going to get what you ask for, you know, right. And you just have to be prepared.
Yeah, you do. And I think that is such an important thing to know. And I love that you said the opportunity will come. It will present itself. Are you going to be ready for it? And know that you can't approach things timidly. You have to step in and let the people around you that you're immersing yourself with know that you want the work. You want to be working with them. I mean, because you don't end up on stage with Bette Midler and Tina Turner and all the incredible acts that you have performed with because someone came knocking at your door. You know, I mean, right. You were out there like letting the world know that you wanted this.
Definitely. You know, when I initially came to town, I was doing what everyone does. You know, you get an agent, you show up at auditions, you know, and you continue to try to be good at what you do, you know. Yeah. And so I was everywhere doing everything, mm-hmm. You know, and just trying to understand the scene. Initially, it didn't make sense to me how people were working because, you know, again, I have this kind of Chicago attitude towards everything. But LA, you know, was a different scene, and I had to learn that scene. I had to immerse myself in it and dedicate myself to the fact that I was going to survive and succeed. Mm-hmm. And it all sounds very like, oh, you know, you say one thing, but it's another thing. But honestly, you have to have that core understanding, mm-hmm. and that core agreement with yourself that, you know, I'm going to do this. I'm not going to do that. I am this person. I'm not that person. Yeah. And then you have to go for it. And then you go for that. And then you deal with the rejection. And then you also deal with the successes. You will get some successes. Like you said, I was assistant choreographer to Tony Basil initially. She
Mm-hmm.
found me at the Hollywood, what is that? Palladium, Hollywood
Mm-hmm.
Palladium, back in the day. And she came to see some dancers, and I was a dancer there. I got a job dancing there while I was gigging, working at the Gap. It's like working at the Gap and then gigging at the Palladium. And she saw me and she said, "Oh, you really know how to dance. You can be my assistant. Let's switch some off and on some classes." And we did, and we gelled together based on experience and based on a lot of. She really was into street choreography. She is one of the founders of the Lockers, so she saw that, and then she saw oh, she really knows what a tendu is and a pirouette. So
Mm-hmm.
so that attracted a person like Toni Basil for me.
Yeah.
And she has had her successes as a singer, as a choreographer, as an actress, and she took under her umbrella. Initially, I learned so much on working on movie sets with her and being her assistant choreographer, that when Bette Midler came along and said, "I need another Harlette," and Toni went, "Audition my assistant. She's capable. She's versatile," because Bette Midler is a comedian and actress. She's everything, and so
Yeah.
her live performance includes all these elements: theater, film, television, all these elements, of performance and movement and all of that. And so I got a chance to audition for Bette Midler from working with Toni Basil.
Mm-hmm.
And fortunately for me, I was familiar with Bette and her work enough to say, throw everything in the pot. And then everybody would say, throw everything in the pot, throw everything in the bucket, everything that you do and all elements of yourself, put it in here, because she's interested in that. That is how you get the attention of Bette Midler. It's like,
Yeah.
that's how she goes, "You can be on stage with me because you get it, and you throw everything in the pot, but you're professional. And you observe, you learn from a pro, you learn from a person who's been doing it for years, one of the best, and a genius. So lucky me again, so that's been my career. You put it all in, and what's supposed to be yours is going to be yours, and you will get the chance to express that. Absolutely.
I love that you talk about your relationship with Toni Basil too, because I think in this business, I mean, you went all the way from Chicago to Orange County. You weren't connected to the business yet at that time, but you know how they say it's all about who you know. I mean, I think that's a weird saying now, but in some ways it is true, because this business relies on networking and building relationships and everything. And I think that's such an important thing for people getting into the business to know that really, really nurture the relationships around you, not because of what they can do for you or what might come of it, but because that's how you grow as an artist. And eventually down the road, you have no idea what doors might open. And I mean, your relationship with her led to, an enormous opportunity. But,
Absolutely.
you were
Absolutely.
doing her thing with her.
Danielle, you just said that so right. You never know who you're going to run into or bump into, just because you don't have the connections, just because you don't know the right person, just because you're not always in the room or in the building, or however you want to say that, doesn't mean you won't get the opportunity in some shape, form, or fashion to be in the room, get the opportunity, be heard, be
Mm-hmm.
seen. And that speaks to your initial level of professionalism, which is to always understand that you're in this business, someone is watching, someone is listening, just like you and I were talking about earlier. Someone is watching, someone is listening, someone hears you, someone feels you.
Yeah.
So stay present and know that you're being seen, and always give your best.
Yeah. Always. Yeah.
you know it's a mantra that you have to really get behind, because
Mhm.
you know, even in my teaching, when I'm just teaching, I run across students who are like, what you said and did really connected with me. I really am uh, have gotten a lot from you. Here's another person, that I think would benefit from, taking your class, your workshop, or whatever.
Yeah.
I had a workshop where my good friend, and I'm trying to get her in this hour, my good friend Sheila E
Yeah.
was like, I'm going to come down to your workshop and participate and just, check out this aspect of who you are.
Yeah.
She'd never seen me teach before.
Yeah.
And
Surprise to everyone in the workshop.
Right, surprise everyone in the workshop. Here's Sheila E sitting here, and then all of a sudden, he's like, "Let me throw something out there for them."
Oh
You
my
get this.
God.
You never
Bonus.
know,
Yeah.
So I'm teaching a workshop. The students are gaining something from it. My friends, who have so much to offer, are like, I'd love to participate and be a part of that. Let me come down to your workshop. Let's
Mhm.
all share. You never know who's going to
Yeah.
be there, and you never know who you influence, and what those, you never know.
You never
You
know.
never know.
Yeah. And
Continue to
and
be.
it's a reminder too, just to like just enjoy your process of growing and building your career. You don't know how things are going to unfold. I mean, you gotta really work your butt off and put your all into it, but it's going to be what it's going to be at some point. So why not enjoy the journey? When you mentioned too, um, doing your best every time, because we've talked a lot about this with other singers in these interviews about how we do kind of tend to get into that, like, I'm just rolling up to the gig and punching my singer card and doing the
Right,
gig.
right.
But it's been pointed out so many times that you've got to remember too that the people that are watching you, this is an experience for them, and what you do, not to everybody, but to some people, means a lot. It means a
Absolutely.
lot to them. And don't take that for granted. Just know that somebody cares a lot about what you do, and it makes a big impact for them. And
It's on so many levels that you impact people, no matter what. How do you say? No matter what medium you might connect to people through, whether it's theater, television, film, live performance. Like
mhm.
you said, it could be somebody that just comes to see your live performance once a week or once a month, and they just really enjoy the songs that you sing, and how you relate those songs, and you move them in such a way, and they follow you and they recommend you and suggest you. Or it could be, the bigger gigs where it's like, I'm doing something on film, I'm doing a film, and they're going, you know what, I saw you do the bend and snap, and you are the bend and snap girl. That is so cool. That is so cool.
It is
If
so
it's
cool.
if it's that, or you affect people, and that's what
Yeah.
you always wanted to do. Hopefully,
Yeah.
permeate and affect, and there it is. So always know that
Yeah.
you're getting through.
You are. You really are. Before we move on, I want to give some shout outs here to those that are joining us in the comments. I'm the worst about keeping up with the comments. I try to keep an eye on them. They go so fast. Oh my gosh. Well, okay. Shout out to Rico Bayer.
Hi, Rico.
Yeah, and he says, just like musicians have notes or charts, do dancers have notes to cue them on what's coming up? And if so, how is that? So, if you've choreographed something, are you just memorizing it, or are you writing a sequenced to what you
If you're
do?
a choreographer, you've written something down. You have an idea, just like a musician would have a chart. You know how many bars you're going to be playing. You know what the sections are. How long the notes are. So for a singer and a musician, the charts are your guideline, but you eventually end up memorizing them and learning them.
Yeah.
Same thing for a dancer. You're initially going to have a choreographer put steps on you, or put movement on you. And they do that the same way by, not by bars, but usually by 8 counts. And then there's a memorization, a memorizing thing that starts to happen. And then eventually you don't need, the choreographer to count for you. You learn the music, you learn the movement. Same thing for singers. Eventually you don't need anybody to tell you how many bars you sing the song. And
Right.
you know the pitches, so.
I am always just like mesmerized by dancers and your ability to remember certain things and how quickly some people pick up, the the moves and everything. It's incredible to me.
And see, that's what a dancer is saying about a singer.
Yeah.
I can't believe you're hitting those notes.
Or you remember all those lyrics.
Remember all those lyrics and hitting those pitches and hitting those notes so well. And especially with singers who can improv, that's exactly what a dancer is saying about a singer. Believe it or not. See, I get to shout out to, dancers being mesmerized by singers. There you go.
Yeah. Well, we also have Tim Moore out there watching. He is in the cabaret scene here in San Diego. So
Hi,
he's
Tim.
always a nice support on here. And Faye Gaddy Adams is out there tonight.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, I will.
All right. Cabaret singers. I love it.
Yeah, I just came out of a week-long conference for teachers of singing, and one of the nights was dedicated to cabaret singers, and they really highlighted some iconic figures in that arena, and it was so cool. I love it. It's not a an area of music that I've spent much time in at all, but it's so awesome to see when you get out there, like there are so many different things going on.
And we're talking about cabaret singers, and that's a combination of theater and song. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it really is. What was your training getting into dancing and singing? Did dancing come first before singing, or how did that work out for you?
That's such a great chicken or the egg question, because my dad's a singer.
Okay.
Growing up in Chicago, I would either watch him sing, and as I got older, join him singing on stage. So that wasn't anything where it was like, super duper professional, but that was my first my first opportunity to sing, was singing on stage with my father in Chicago at local taverns and clubs and things like that. So that, if you call that first, then that's first. But I got a scholarship in Chicago for dance through Nancy Tynowitz, my mentor at the Joel Hall Dance Studio. And that was my formal teaching of ballet, jazz, and modern dance. And so then, you learn everything technically. You have a scholarship, you take multiple classes a week, and you get the formal training there. And I got a minor in dance in college. I couldn't get a major in dance from UIC. My major was broadcasting mass communications, and my minor was dance. And so, and then after that, I, left Chicago for Los Angeles. So then I start to get, the auditions in the absolute experience of hitting it and being out here. So, and then of course I still train. I want to say that I still, I'm still taking, how do you say, classes in Music 101 from SAG-AFTRA for sight singing classes. I'm still, I'm in favor of constantly growing and working and going forward. So still training.
You gotta be lifelong learners at it, and always works in progress. Yeah.
That's right.
It sounds like you kind of had show business running through your veins though, from an early age.
Again, I feel like I did. I just didn't have I don't think I had the connections. I had the formal training of absolutely being comfortable on stage and comfortable with performance, but I never had anyone that was simply, like go left, go right, go up, go back, and then you will be there kind of thing. Just the natural inclination to want to do it,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
then following through.
Yeah. Absolutely. Um, I was going to ask you about earlier on for you. I feel like I heard this in an other interview that you did, that you were involved in a Michael Jackson video. Is that right?
Yes. Okay. I'm going to date myself a
What?
little, but it's a wonderful date. I'll I'll date myself.
Yeah.
Michael Jackson's "Remember the Time" video. I was a dancer. Fatima Robinson, the
Yeah.
choreographer and director, she hired me and a bunch of other uh, dancers that she worked with on music videos at the time, and we were in lots of music videos for hip hop and R&B. And Michael wanted that authentic feel, but under this storyline of Egyptian
Yeah.
street dances kind of thing. And it was such an amazing experience. And I'm quickly trying to get out to you that this man was a force. I mean, as soon as John Singleton, rest in peace, said action, uh, Michael would come out of a straight standing, doing nothing position to like the room explodes and is on fire, and every dancer is like, every actor, is like, he had this energy, this incredible energy
Mm-hmm.
that he had complete control over. And like I said, when I saw him as a young girl and he was just standing in one spot, it
Yeah.
was it was amazing. So then I did get the chance to work with him once. So I feel very blessed to have had that experience. He was amazing. He was
Yeah.
amazing.
I can only imagine. And I wonder, with you really being in the space and presence of so many iconic performers, what's the through line? What's the commonalities that you see in them? Is it that energy, or what is it?
Danielle, such a great question, because there is a through line.
Mm-hmm.
Every single one of them works incredibly hard
Mm-hmm.
at what they do. And it's not a mistake that they're there. They
Yeah.
work very hard. They're dedicated from sun up to sundown to get that project or that song or that video or that whatever. They're dedicated from sun up to sundown and getting it done and getting it as perfect as it can be.
Mm-hmm.
And they really, really, from Bette to Michael to Babyface to Sheila E to Beyonce, really work hard,
Mm-hmm.
and they're dedicated, and they have, like you said, knowing who you are when you walk in the room. They know who they are when they walk in the room. They respect and they've chosen every element that's in that room, whether it's the lighting person or the sound person or the person who puts the stage together, or the dancers or the musicians or the singers, the hairdresser. They've chosen every person to be there. And that's how hard they work. And that's how much every element means to them. Prince, I had the pleasure of watching him work on a few
Yeah.
occasions. He knew what decibels of sound to what lighting cues. He knew everything on top of being the artist, the person in front. And so
Mm-hmm.
they are well, how do you say? I mean, I'm trying to get it all there. They are well informed, and they are dedicated and involved from beginning to end, and they give 100%, and they are so just they radiate that focus and that energy and that discipline, and it's not a
Yeah.
mistake that they're there. Not one of
Yeah.
them.
That's such an important message. And something that comes to mind with that, along with that, is it's especially important for female musicians and singers to hear, because you know the most iconic figures you see out there, they didn't make it there by mistake. And you hear all these stories about certain people being divas or whatever, but I think the reality is that you do need to show up powerfully if you're going to really get somewhere in this business. And it doesn't have to be because you're the nicest one and you made all the friends and you were the most well behaved. It's stepping into power and being unapologetic for that, and really saying what you want, and just really putting that on.
Yeah, absolutely. That's because, and the reason why you can be confident like that is because you're living it. It's
Yeah.
truly who you are. Even if you don't arrive in that place and you're not everything and things aren't perfect, your intention, is there. And the one of the most confident artists I ever worked with was Tina Turner, and she
Mm.
just radiated, this type of elegance and confidence and assuredness that you just were like, Tina says, there we are, or Tina's
Yeah.
doing, we show, the band is following you, everyone is following you, the lighting guy is following you, the wardrobe people are, everybody's on the team and everybody's behind the leader of the team. And in order to have that, you do have to have a level of confidence, but and assuredness and focus. That is how all the gauges in the wheel, all the spokes, turn at the same time to
Yeah.
create this art, this work,
Hmm.
so they're really
Yeah.
thinking like that. They really are.
Yeah. And it's not so much that they demand that kind of the respect. They command it. They've earned it. They've
I love it.
done the work.
Yeah,
you know.
absolutely.
Yeah. Oh my
Absolutely.
gosh, so important. Um, Carol, I think I could talk to you forever. I know there's so much more to your career, and I hope we can do this again and talk more about it. And know that I will be at the movement classes, and I'll bring all the singers from San Diego with me who want to go.
Right on.
Um, and
Right.
maybe I'll even pester you about doing it online if this carries on for a whole lot longer. But
Absolutely. I know I'm gonna have to make something happen. And
yeah,
I'm feeling the urge to do so. So please, absolutely. Let's do this again. Let's talk some
yeah.
more. Let's inspire each other, some more. And hopefully something I've said has inspired someone else, or, or
Mm.
connected with someone else. I love these chats. I love I love them.
Oh, I know it.
Thank
I know it has. Yeah, no, thank you. And it was just a pleasure to be with you tonight. And I hope everybody enjoyed it too. And I just look forward to talking to you again, and definitely stay safe, be well out there. And
you. You too.
we're all going to get through this, everybody.
Yes, we're gonna get through to the other side stronger and
Yeah.
better.
Yeah. Oh, and before I forget, where can people find you online?
Oh, let's see. I'm on basic social media, which is Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, as Caroll Hatchett one, Bella Brown and the Jealous Lovers.
Nice.
You can find me under, on all of those, you know,
Great.
places.
Yeah,
I'm there.
I'll put some links in the comments,
I
and
appreciate
uh,
it.
everybody out there that joined us, thank you so much. I'm gonna get better about watching the comments and answering, but just know that we really appreciate you. Um, have a great night.
Thank
Thank
you so much.
you.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for being here. Ciao.